Even though the Simpsons movie wasn't as good as the show, I still thought it was awesome as a kid. Honestly, the jokes in the movie made me laugh like crazy back in the day, and when I watched the Simpsons movie in different dubs, I found it even more funny and engaging. On screen right now, you can see all the different dubs we're gonna be talking about in today's video. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. There's this scene in the middle of the movie where Marge is at the store, and in the original American version, there's a joke about European women not shaving.
Ladies' razor blades.
Right.
No, we don't. I forgot, we're European.
The different dubs had many pretty wild ways of handling this. You can probably guess that most European dubs cut the joke entirely. No wonder why. But the Dutch dub decided to spice things up and change focus, making it about Eastern Europeans instead. That was a funny adaptation.
Nee, dat ook niet. Ik vergat, we zijn Oost-Europees.
And then there's the Turkish dub, which completely changed the focus from women to men. That was probably because of the more conservative society there. Who knows?
Hayır, o da lazım değil. Unuttum, kocam kösedir.
Early in the movie, right after Bart's famous naked skateboard ride, there's that scene with Krusty the Clown. In the American version, there's a joke about Mexican food being greasy.
If you can find a greasier sandwich, you're in Mexico.
Well, that joke was actually cut from the Mexican version of the film.
Si encuentran una hamburguesa más grasosa, les daré un premio.
There are a couple theories about why they did it. First off, from what I understand, there's this unspoken rule in Mexico about not making jokes about Mexico in dubbed content. Secondly, Mexico has a high obesity rate, so maybe the translators thought that kind of joke would be offensive to a lot of Mexicans. If you know anything about it, leave a comment. Now, other dubs saw this scene as an opportunity to make their own jokes. For example, Russians turned it into a joke about Ukraine. That was long before the war, so it looked funny then.
Если вы найдете больше сала в сэндвиче, значит вы на Украине!
There were other interesting translations of this scene, but we'll talk about those later in the video. But for now, let's move on. Right at the movie's beginning, the Simpsons are late for church, and here Homer mispronounces Jesus' name in the original.
How you doing? Peace be with you. Praise Jeebus.
The Ukrainian dub did something really interesting with this. Homer says praise Hindus instead. The thing is, the word Hindus in Ukrainian sounds super similar to Jesus. It's a really clever translation.
Добрий день, мир вам, слава індусу.
The Simpsons movie is actually a pretty action-packed film. Just take the final scene with the Springfield Rescue, for example. However, in terms of action, playing War Thunder would be even more exciting. War Thunder is a top free-to-play multiplayer action game where you can jump into epic battles raging across land, sea and air. In the game, you command iconic vehicles from the mid-20th century to the present day. You'll have access to all the latest military tech, including guided missiles, strike drones, and even a nuclear strike that can obliterate the entire map. On top of that, War Thunder has stunning visuals and realistic physics that allow you to immerse in the atmosphere. Also, War Thunder's unique damage model takes realism to the next level. Forget about simple health bars. Here, every shot has a consequence. For instance, if you hit the plane's fuel tank, it will ignite. Now, in the recent update, new French combat boats were added. Alongside two top-tier Chinese fighter jets, the legendary American aircraft A-10 and the powerful American F-111 tactical bomber. Jump into War Thunder today and experience the thrill of commanding these vehicles. Download it for free using the link in the description and receive premium vehicles, unique skins, and other special bonuses. This offer is for new players and those who haven't played War Thunder in 6 months or more. But hurry, some of these bonuses end soon. Now let's get back to The Simpsons. Remember that lady who helped Homer when Marge returned to Springfield? In the original, they make a few jokes about her big breasts. But in the Turkish and French dubs, for example, they cut those jokes and gave her a name instead.
Thank you, boob lady.
Teşekkürler Bayan Devgüz.
Merci, Grululu.
And then you have the German version, which actually doubled down on the original joke.
Danke, Frau mit den Monstermöpsen.
In one scene, Krusty orders his monkey to do something pretty harsh to a baby in the original, but the Ukrainian dub takes it into a whole new level of harshness. Here, Krusty tells the monkey to strangle the kid. That's too much.
Teeny, take out the baby.
Бігом! Задуши дитину!
Meanwhile, the Polish dub changed the monkey's name to Titus, a famous character from Polish comics.
Ty tu, spiesz się za dzidzie.
Speaking of the Polish dub, they made a ton of changes throughout the movie. For example, in that scene with the old lady, check out how they changed Homer's lines.
Americans will never embrace soccer? More than 2 shakes and it's playing with yourself?
Człowiek nie od małpy, pochodzi tylko od smoka. Seks jest zły, bo nie rozwija!
You might be wondering why they translated it that way. Well, I'm not sure, but actually those phrases are quotes from 2 Polish figures, this scientist and this politician. The Polish dub made many jokes about politicians throughout the movie. Now, the Ukrainian version also added a political joke during the scene with the president.
Look at those angry eyes and giant teeth. It's like Christmas at the Kennedy compound.
Які сердиті очі і великі зуби. Точно як наші всі політики.
On the other hand, the Turkish version joked about mothers-in-law, while the Polish dub cracked about the former Minister of Education in Poland. Those Poles, as always.
Bana kajna namagati glatią.
Kły jak szable, jako ministra oświaty z dalekiego kraju.
The weird thing is that the Ukrainian dub randomly threw a joke about terrorists in one scene. Here, a government official either calls the Simpsons terrorist or his own colleagues terrorist. It's not entirely clear.
Hey everybody, I found one! Перемога! Терористи!
In that iconic scene where naked Bart skateboards through town, Ralph says he likes men in the original. But in the Japanese dub, they get a bit more specific, with Ralph saying he likes the male naked body. Near the end of the movie, there's a pretty funny moment that got changed in almost every dub for some reason. In the original, the character says a chicken beat him at tic-tac-toe. Now, in the Chinese version, for example, they talk about Tang Dynasty poems. Apparently, they make kids memorize those in China.
Hey, I know how you feel. I was beaten tic-tac-toe by a chicken.
我可同情你现在的感受，我也叫人骗去给母鸡念过唐诗。
And in the Dutch dub, they threw in a joke about a local game called Cowheads, whatever that is.
Hey gozer, ik weet hoe je je voelt. Ik ben verslagen met koekhoppen door een rager.
Now, the Dutch dub changed the dreams of going to Venice to dreams of Rome. I guess Venice isn't that exciting for the Dutch.
God, in, out, I never saw Venice!
Oh god, blijven gaan, en ik moet Rome nog zien.
In a scene early in the movie, the characters are trying to figure out what sound Grandpa was making at the church. The original version mentions Green Lantern. He's not that popular in Ukraine, so they changed it to Joker and Batman instead.
I believe it's the sound the Green Lantern made when Sinestro threw him into a vat of acid.
Це був останній звук, який видав Джокер, коли Бетмен відправив його на той світ.
And in the German dub, they went with a Spider-Man reference.
Ich glaube, das ist das Geräusch, das Spider-Man macht, wenn merkt, dass sein Faden gleich abreißt.
Many dubs also added their own jokes to the book club scene. Check out what they did in the Dutch dub, for example.
Okay, let's discuss Tuesdays with Maury.
Again. Oké, wie wil iets zeggen over de Da Vinci Code? Alwel?
And in the Ukrainian version, they decided to mention the Ukrainian author Yuri Andrukhovich.
Говоримо Романа Андруховича. Знов?
In one scene in the original, there is a reference to the Tommy Bahama store. In the Russian dub, they switched it to a reference to Levi's, or rather its founder.
You didn't bring my pants.
Who am I, Tommy Bahama?
А где штаны?
Я тебе что, Леви Страус?
The Dutch version made it a reference to a Dutch clothing store.
Behalve mijn broek.
Ja, hallo, ben niet van de week op.
Now let's get back to that scene with Krusty's burger. In the Dutch dub, they joke about Polish construction workers since there are a lot of Polish immigrants in the Netherlands.
Ja, er lopen sneller vol dan een bouwplaats met Polen!
And last but not least, they decided to poke fun at themselves in the Polish and Turkish dubs.
Jeżeli znajdziecie tłustszy zamach na bioderko, to będzie to kuchnia polska.
Bundan daha yağlı bir sandviç bulabilirseniz bilin ki Türkiye'desiniz.
Let me know in the comments how this moment was translated into other languages you guys know. Honestly, breaking down the Simpsons movie dubs has been a blast. I especially loved the Dutch adaptation this time around. Anyway, thanks for watching today's video. See ya!